we have a little smiley face there, Viv Brown, the property specialist. And I'm excited that late last year, we've decided to start this investor account. And because of the relationship that I've built up with Viv over the last 3 years, he became the obvious choice to head our property side, whereas Gavin is heading the business side. So when I asked Viv to help us prepare some topics, and you can see he becomes well qualified and also has his own legacy wealth group. And there's Viv's contacts, Viv Brown at binary.co.za, and his cell number. But he's going to talk to us for the next couple of sessions on the topic BRICS. And every evening he will then take one of those letters and unpack it for us. So Viv, over to you. What is the B in BRICS?
Thanks, Jasper. Good evening, everybody. And I loved what Abigail said, because I think it applies to a lot of us in terms of interpreting the data that I'm chatting about. Obviously, property is something I feel quite strongly about. But my start with BRICS is like anything. It's a building block. And I just want to quickly give you what the BRICS stands for. So it's B is for building anything needs a why and a plan. R is a reason. So what's yours? So don't think about property, think about building anything, whether it's your family plan, your career, your health. You need a reason and you need a plan. I stands for interest. Why are you interested in building a property portfolio, or why are you interested in a legacy business, a legacy family, or why are you interested in making sure you don't get sick? C is for cash. And of course, money always plays a role. And the question is, where does this come from and how much are you going to need? And then the K is for knowledge. And as you can see, there's now a thread developing between what was said earlier, what Jasper said. You have to understand your topic. And are you prepared to understand your topic, and in this case, property, and put in the work that it needs to get that understanding? And then S is, you got to start. And obviously, we'll discuss that over the next couple of weeks. So right now, we're talking about the B in BRICS, which is, what is your why and do you have a plan? And I'd just like to set the scene. I want to take you back to 2000. And the world had just come into a new millennium, and the 2K bug didn't prove to be as bad as we all thought. We were all worried about the whole world stopping, computers failing everywhere, but nothing happened. However, the dot-com bust did happen. And what was happening in property? It was booming. Investing in property was like shooting fish in a barrel, as they say. And everyone was making money. Property values started to rocket. And by 2005, everybody knew property was a certain win and that the property market would continue going up forever. At this stage, everyone was keen to get in on the action. And then boom, the global financial crisis struck in 2007, 2008, and the bubble burst. In retrospect, we understand why America was very expanding credit. They were making mortgages available to people to buy their houses. By the way, a mortgage in America is what we call a bond. And everyone was diving in. Of course, what helped South Africa straight after that was we had the World Cup in 2010. Now, guys, we're talking about 20 years ago and now 10 years ago. So this is some time back. And of course, the Soccer World Cup, I think, was fantastic for South Africa. And there was also the theory that rental properties and B&Bs would become millionaires overnight with all the visitors coming to South Africa. Those of us that watch the market are fully aware that some people lost quite a bit of money buying properties to rent or getting involved in B&Bs and not knowing how to run them. Okay, so we're now sitting in 2020. Welcome. And where's the property market at the moment? And at this stage, I'm going to pause and ask for anybody just to give me their feeling of where the property market is right now. Anybody? Jasper?
Yeah, well, I think there are both property opportunities that if we have the collective fund to go into it, which I hope we will start building in property in the investor club, I can certainly see that it doesn't matter what happened to the general state of the economy, it will still be good. But then I think also the story of location, there are probably quite a few areas that are now starting to be stressed because they're no longer good areas and the property values are going down and may not recover. So, well, that's my input.
Excellent. Anybody else? Okay, no pressure.
I think it's a buyer's market at the moment.
Great, Abigail, yes. Fantastic, thanks. So yes, the property at the moment is at a low. And with the current issues we face in South Africa, it might still have more pressure and might even go lower. I mean, we've got power issues, we've got investment issues and that. But I think Jasper touched on the important stuff. Property is property, and it's like anything else, and we'll get to that a bit later. It's got a season. And right now, it's a buyer's market. Abigail said that quite clearly. So now let's look at our acronym bricks. I want you to quickly look around you. Are you in your house? Can you see the bricks, or do you just see painted walls? And most of your house is what? Okay, most of your house is actually not bricks. It's open space created by the walls and the roof. So all we've done with the bricks is actually create an environment. So I want you to remember that as we go through these, the anagram for bricks through the next couple of weeks, we're building an environment for ourselves to operate in. And that's quite important. I'm going to skip through some of my things. I was going to chat about bricks and that, but effectively, as in life, you need building blocks. Part of your building blocks is your education, your career, your family, there's love, there's your health. All these things come into it. Similarly, when you're getting anything set up, you need, as I say, the B's to begin with a plan and your why. And honestly, with our exposure to businesses and people every day, we realize that we spend more time on Facebook than we do working out where we are and what plan we've got for our life going forward. So building a home or life, it's more importantly, a family needs a plan and a why, as I've just said. So my first step is we want to get involved in property investing. Hopefully I've refreshed your memory of property over the last 20 years. Do you still want to invest, and why? So you've got to be asking yourself these questions. And remember, a lot of us on this platform right now this evening are at different stages in our lives. So we have different opportunities and different priorities. But just think about it. If you had taken a bond out in 2000, it would have been paid off today. So you have to get involved. And then it's back to Ecclesiastes 3. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. And these cycles prevail. As in everything in life, as in property, property goes up, property goes down. But one thing that we can see from the historical data is that the trend in property is always upwards. And this is due to a thing called inflation. It's called to asset values and the replacement cost of property. So in general, property will go up and down, but when you actually look at it, it generally doesn't fall below the previous low. So it's on a continual increase. Okay, so let's get into each other again. Remember, I'm not too worried about whether you like property or don't like property. We're going to have an opportunity for people. Some will take it, some won't. Each and every individual needs to decide if they know what their plan is and why they are following their current path. My advice is to take the time to work on your plan, get clarity on your life purpose and how you want to achieve it. Okay, so next week we'll talk at the R, which is the reason. So if you're going to want to know about that, please join us next week. Just quickly to conclude, GIG has now got this investment account. So if you're a member of GIG, you have access to an investment account. If you don't know what it is, then please ask either myself, Jasper, Gavin, somebody that you know, and see that you can get up. I want to give you a suggestion for you for the next 5 years. It's a suggestion, but it just wants to show you what it requires if you want to build some capital or if you want to build a portfolio. If you were to invest 2,500 Rand a month in your investment account, that's 30,000 Rand a year. If you did that for a 5-year period, again, don't have short-term goals when it comes to building your portfolio. Overnight success generally takes 10 years. So if you're investing your 30,000 a year, in 5 years, you've invested 150,000. If we put that into property, we believe that we could double it every 5 years. Interesting concept, Now, remember, we didn't start with 150,000, so you can't say, sure, after 5 years, I'll have 300,000. There's a bit of a calculation that needs to be done to get clarity on that. However, if you keep it up at 2,500 Rand a month, after 20 years, you'll definitely be worth over more than R1 million. And that will be an asset for your family and for your legacy. Now, some of us are a little older, we're retired, and we think, well, 2,500 Rand. Believe me, if we look at our plan and we look at our life, we can find that money or we can make that money. Are you interested? Do you want to see how we can turn your homes from liabilities into assets? Stay tuned, and we'll discuss that over the next 3 weeks. And then a little quote here from Helen Keller. Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much.